This market talks about money, gold, and the problem with socialism. Hi, Jim Gore from THOR Wealth Management. Well, money is very important, but sound money is even more important. First definition, sound money is where government keeps their currency stable and the purchasing power of your money remains the same. The second one is where back in ancient times in Rome and before that, people would take their silver and gold coins, hit it against a hard surface, listen to it, and it would tell them if it was pure silver or pure gold. And that's how they checked to make sure that they were getting real silver and real gold. Well, let's go back in time with Rome. Rome, when it first came about in 275 BC, their coins were 95 to 100% silver. And they had a very good currency. Well, about 200 years later, Nero came in and wanted to spend more money for the public good. And so what he did is he reduced the silver content to 90% and then also lowered the amount of the weight of the coin. Well, about another 120 years later, the military was getting very expensive. So what did they do? They reduced the silver content to under 50%. And then shortly thereafter, silver was down to 20% or below. It actually became zero. And what you saw in Rome was that people would, you see those old Roman coins, you'll notice that they're all cut up at the edges. That's because people used to shave off the silver and they would have more silver. That's why you have ridges around our quarters and dimes and so forth, is because when it was silver, those ridges prevented people from doing that. Also back then, when Rome was collapsing, when they used barbarians to help them with their military, they wouldn't accept Roman coins anymore. They accepted gold because they saw the Roman currency as not worth as much. Well, they talk about the U.S. being a lot like Rome, and we're kind of doing that with our own money here. Back in 1965, we had the Coinage Act that eliminated silver from dimes and quarters, and then in half dollars, it made it from 90% down to 40%. 5 years later, because silver was going up in price, they eliminated silver from all half dollars. So we have no silver in any of our coins in the United States since 1970. And then 1973, Nixon came out and eliminated the U.S. convertibility to gold. That was known as the gold standard. So there's nothing backed by gold or silver here in the United States, just printing money. Well, gold is a reflection of how good your policies are. And that's all it is because gold can be purchased in any currency out there. So it really tells you if gold is going up in value, it's really more of a saying of what is going on with the quality of your fiscal and monetary policies. And you look at this chart here, you can see that on the left-hand side, that's our budget deficit is exploding. And on the right-hand side, the amount of debt that is being paid to interest only is skyrocketing as well. So the price of gold going up makes sense because it is really a reflection saying that our monetary policies and fiscal policies here in the United States are not good. Now, it could get even worse because we're seeing some things with the Democrat Socialist Party here in America. And this comes directly off their website. And this is very important. I grew up in Miami, Florida, and I had friends that, escaped Cuba, their parents did. And then during the Mariel boat lift, they had aunts and uncles come over. And you talk to those individuals about socialism, their quality of life went down. But let's just look about, this comes directly off the Democratic Socialists of America website. And it says right now you have no bills. You will not need health insurance. You don't need to pay a mortgage or have a landlord because comfortable housing is a human right. Your retirement is publicly funded. Food, education, energy, medicine, and transportation aren't for-profit businesses. They're all for common goods and utilities. So you won't have to do anything. You don't have to have any bills. So let's see how that worked. Let's look at what happened in Venezuela, especially about energy. And if you look at Venezuela under socialism, you saw under Chavez that the drilling, the amount of oil went down by about 1/3. And that is because the government took over and the quality of getting the goods out of the ground wasn't good. And then you saw under Maduro, it even dropped to where they were getting 1/6 the amount of oil out that they were when Chavez took office. Let's go ahead and look at capitalists. Let's look at what has happened here in the United States with oil production. Complete opposite. Capitalism has people go out and do it on their own, and they produce it. When you have socialism, the government runs it, and anytime the government runs things, it ends up being bad. And as I said, you won't have any bills to be taken care of. So who's going to pay for that? That means that their government is going to print more money than what they're doing right now, which means you're going to have more inflation. Now, keep in mind what Margaret Thatcher said back in 1973. The problem with socialism is that you eventually run out of other people's money. And this is important right now because of our deficits and because of this underpinning of some socialism here in the United States. You want to make sure that you have some things in your portfolio to protect against inflation. We have 4 things. One of them is gold, and especially gold miners. If you have any questions or your advisor doesn't have things in your portfolio to protect you from inflation, please give us a call or reach out to us at THORWealthManagement.com. Take care and talk to you in a couple weeks. Subscribe to the Thor channel today.